I just want to chime in really quick. So, part of what we're talking about here, part of the way to like defeat this apparatus that Mark, as Mark referred to it, um, so much of what they do, including like their media ops, in efforts to control discourse, but also just like getting people to onboard to stuff when they otherwise wouldn't. It all runs on fear, right? And like all the stuff that happened during COVID, people fell in line because of fear. It's all fear based, pretty much everything they do. A great way to not fall into that is not be afraid of these people no matter what psyop they throw at you. And I think this year, election year, not just in the US, but in much of the world, yeah, unprecedented fear-based psyops are going to be coming one after the other until they get enough people to comply and acquiesce. And the way to, get around that is to not fall into it. It's the trap, and a lot of it is the media discourse. And I think the more controlled online discourse becomes, the greater the effort will be to use it to get people to be very afraid of what's happening.
Yeah.
And if you unplug a little bit and spend more time in like the actual world, you are much less likely to feel that way. And I think that's why during COVID, they wanted so much of our discourse to be online. And then they took even greater control of the online discourse. And we know now, under the guise of election censorship, they're going to clamp down even more on online discourse and lead it in very particular directions. They want Americans in particular to be at each other's throats. Textbook divide and conquer, among other things, though. I mean, they have this whole war on domestic terror apparatus, all this stuff about civil war, and we need this and that. Regular Americans are generally on the same side, and they want to divide everyone, and it's all through fear. And they've been doing this psyop after psyop after psyop, whether it's 9/11, COVID, you name it. I mean, it's all fear-based and wants to alienate you from your local community. Like, again, it's about self-reliance at the local level. That's a big part of the response, but it's also, getting people, not just you yourself, though obviously that's where you start, but making sure that the fear doesn't anchor in to, where you are based.
And what Whitney Webb is telling you right now is she's warning you that when we look at a lot of the geopolitical conflicts, when we look at elections, everything is aligning perfectly for one of the largest psyops out there. We have the divide and conquer, psyop there with the elections, making sure that, everyone's distracted around the elections or at their neighbor's neck because they have a different sign out in their yard. They're supporting the wrong candidate in their opinion. And then we also have the geopolitical conflict, right? All right, Russia's the bad guy. No, Russia's not the bad guy. The US is the bad guy. It's back and forth. And behind all of this is the question, what are they distracting us from? What are they keeping our attention off of? Which is what you should always be asking when these types of big conflicts are happening, when everything is aligning perfectly for the, big distraction to be there. Because right now we have so many distractions, we have so much going on, and everyone's like, what's happening right now? And that's where you need to really read between the lines. With that being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's take a quick look at what's happening, right? Because I love the fact that she is bringing up, these psyops that they keep pushing and they're fear-based. For an example, the BRICS. Obviously, what the BRICS are doing is a very big deal. And a lot of people are actually concerned about what the BRICS are doing for the US dollar because they do believe that it's going to lead to the demise of the US dollar. More so recently, Serbia is actually saying that it sees joining the BRICS as an alternative to joining the EU. And the BRICS right now have a ton of applicants that want to join, but also they have a summit coming up. And the summit is going to be very, very large, especially considering the fact that as we look at all of the finance ministers that are gathering in Moscow, this is definitely interesting. Now, again, a lot of these do go viral. Everyone loves to look at, what the BRICS are doing, and anything that the BRICS do push now becomes a very big spotlighted attention, mainstream media headline. But I want you all to understand that what the BRICS are pushing for is the same exact thing that the West is pushing for and what the elites are pushing for. It's not about the de-dollarization. It's not about the demise of the dollar. It's about what the BRICS nations are actually pushing. And over here, we also have another clip from Whitney Webb. This is BRICS countries and Western countries are all on board for Agenda 2030. Check it out.
BRICS countries, Western countries, all on board for Agenda 2030. The people in charge of climate finance for the UN, Mike Bloomberg, the billionaire, and Mark Carney. I think your viewers know enough about Mark Carney to know why that's insane, and to think that Mark Carney and Jamie Dimon and Mike Bloomberg and Bill Gates and all of these guys just care so much about the planet and not about robbing you of all of your wealth, which is what they've spent their entire careers doing. I just remember how Jamie Dimon a few months ago was like, well, we should just seize people's private property for, climate change policy. Remember that? Like, private property doesn't exist to Jamie Dimon. If his friends at Goldman Sachs, who basically designed all this crap that the UN is backing, and green finance and blue finance for Mother Earth and whatever, if those projects decide that they want your property, I guess they'll just turn off your money or whatever and take it. I mean, do you really want to give these guys total control?
And yeah, I mean, listen, as we really look at what's going on here, they can simply turn off your money. They could turn off your bank account. They could shut you out of your bank account. We saw this happen before. They can seize your assets. They could seize your money. This is why, as we look at the Agenda 2030, right? First off, on their website, we have Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. This is from the United Nations. This agenda is a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. It also seeks to strengthen universal peace and larger freedom. We recognize that eradicating poverty in all its forms and dimensions, including extreme poverty, is the greatest global challenge and an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. All countries and all stakeholders acting in collaborative partnership will implement this plan. We are resolved to free the human race from the tyranny of poverty and want and to heal and secure our planet. So, wait a second. Since when do the elites want to eradicate poverty? Want to make sure that everyone is, free of, poverty, and make sure that, everyone is equal and this, that. Since when do they want any of this? Never. Which is why you should be concerned about this. You should be 100% worried about all of this. And the reason why is because what they are starting to push now is their agenda, which is, of course, the Agenda 2030. It's a part of it. And it's all digital. Everything digital. Oh, paper? That's not sustainable. Get rid of it. We want to make sure everything is sustainable. You better drive your electric vehicle that we can remotely turn off. You better use our CBDCs that are now green and sustainable. And if you don't, then guess what? You are not going to be able to buy anything. This is exactly what they're pushing right now. This is exactly what they are pushing for right now. And also, if we go over here, we have, and this is from the United Nations as well, people's money, harnessing digitalization to finance a sustainable future. And if we actually look at this, guess what? All of this is based around digital currencies, digital money, which is also CBDCs, stablecoins, tokenized deposits. Even over here, we have green CBDCs, more sustainability in finance with CBDCs. Huge energy consumption of crypto mining, which they do talk about. They also talk about how, digital cash is needed because guess what? Regular cash is way too unsustainable. Again, it's all to push agendas. This is all a part of the elite's agenda that they want to push, and it's all based around control narratives. And by the way, yes, going back to the whole idea of the BRICS countries and Western countries all on board of this, guess what they're all pushing for? BRICS will create payment system based on digital currencies and blockchain. Now, again, this is to reduce its reliance on the US dollars, right? Russia to launch cryptocurrency exchange trials for cross-border payments starting September 2024. And again, when we look into what they're actually doing here, they're using digital currencies. They're using digital assets, but it doesn't really confirm CBDCs in this article. But guess what we got back in June? Russia to start using CBDCs for cross-border payments in 2025. Now, the fact that they're doing this means the US has to be next. Why? Because Russia's the bad guy, don't you know? They're the enemy. So if Russia's now pushing for a CBDC, all of a sudden they're innovating. They're winning the tech race. We can't let that happen. So now the US has to push for a stable coin. Look we're doing things different than the US. We don't want a CBDC. We want a stable coin, right? Wrong, because a stable coin is also programmable. But that's exactly what the US is going to push, because we have to look like we are, higher on the pedestal than any other, major country out there, specifically Russia in this case. But this is all to push for the same exact narrative, the same exact agenda. CBDCs, digital currencies, all a part of Agenda 2030. And by the way, don't forget the big target, which is gold, because the 5 largest members of the BRICS are now building their largest gold stockpiles in history. And by the way, yes, gold plays a part in all of this, because they also want to back CBDCs with gold. They want to tokenize gold, fractionalize it, and then back CBDCs with gold on DLTs or blockchain-based technologies. Again, this is why you need to pay attention. You need to open your eyes. We are being hand-fed PSYOP after PSYOP after PSYOP after PSYOP just to push this agenda. Everyone is blowing everything out of proportion when it comes to the BRICS. It's obvious. And again, there is update after update after update around the BRICS. There's a lot of conflict. There's a lot of, pressure. It feels as though it's just, a constant back and forth. Nothing's happening. This has to lead to something big. Is it going to be World War III? Like, everyone is looking at what the BRICS are doing, and they're so concerned. But the big thing to focus on is how the BRICS are also working with the West. And by the way, the BIS, the Central Bank of Central Banks, almost on all of their tokenization and their CBDC experiments, guess what? All of the central banks of the BRICS and all of the central banks around the world, essentially, even in the United States, are a part of all of these initiatives. So what does that tell you? This is exactly why you can't play into the narratives that are out there. You can't play into the mainstream media nonsense. You need to start reading between the lines and waking up. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord down in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.